Okay, simplify and state restrictions. We have a complex question here. There's 3 sets of fractions. Okay. First of all, the reason we have to talk about restrictions is because on a fraction, the bottom of the fraction cannot be the number 0.
Yeah.
It's undefinable. Okay. So what we have to figure out are what options of our variable x will give us zeros on the bottom. Okay.
Yeah.
And in order to figure out zeros, also known as x-intercepts, what form do we need to be in at the bottom of a quadratic? Yeah?
Okay.
No?
No. Wait, yeah, no. We're not factored.
Factored, right? So in other words, these are all in what form right now? Do you know?
Standard.
Standard. They're all in standard. We have to go to factored form. Okay? So in other words, what we're going to do is we're going to have to factor everything on the bottom, okay, which will help us with the restrictions. But in terms of simplifying, factoring what's on top too and what's on the bottom will help us with simplifying this question. Okay? So let's get around to it. We'll start to factor. Now there's one other major thing I want to bring your attention to before we keep going. This is a division sign, which means this will become inverted. When we go to state restrictions, we'll actually have to find the factors of the top and factors of the bottom because we have to invert this in order to simplify. So we have to find restrictions for this, 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 and this. We have to factor all 4 of these and state those restrictions. Okay? So let's go through the factoring quickly. Start with the first one. I'll do this guy in black. We'll call him number 1. Okay? We're going to factor them all just to help us with simplifying later instead of just doing the restriction part right now. So 3x squared minus 7x minus 6. When you factor, do you take the factors of the first term and the last term? Like this?
No,
You decomposition?
No.
How about you learn this way?
No.
Right? It's much faster. So when we go to factor, what I do is I find all of the factors of my first term, right? And I set them up into a column. Well, luckily, 3x squared, there's only one set of factors, 1 and 3.
Yeah.
For 6, I find all the factors. Well, there's 2, and I set them up into 2 separate columns. There's the pair of 1 and 6 and the pair of 2 and 3.
Yeah.
Okay? Now what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be multiplying the first column by one of the second columns. Okay? And when I do that, their products need to add up to my middle term, which is negative 7x. Okay? Just so we can draw attention to that. Negative 7x. They got to add up to that. So I'm going to trial and error this. I go straight across 1 by 1, 3 by 6, so that gives me 1 and 18. Any combination of that get negative 7?
No.
No, none of them get negative 7. So that doesn't work, but we can also go across too. 1 times 6 and 3 times 1, well, 3x and 6x. Any combination of those give us negative 7?
No.
No. So that didn't work. This column's no good. Let's hope the other column works. 1 times 2 and 3 times 3 gives us 2x and 9x. Any combination of that work?
Yes.
Yes, that will work. Right? So we do 1 times 2. It's very important that I know what I multiply by. Okay? 1x times 2 gives us 2x. 3x times 3 gives us 9x. In order to make 7x, I need to apply what? To the 9. Great. What did I multiply by to get the 9? 3. Okay. This second 3 is what's really important. I got to check to see this still works. What is a negative 3 times positive 2?
Negative 6.
Good. And that's what we got up here. So I know that that makes sense. That is the actual factors. One would have to be positive, one would have to be negative because this is negative. So when I go to put this in my factored form, my brackets, right? Well, the one I pointed to, the first column, they're our first column. So I have a 1x and a 3x. Now this is the important part. You see what I multiplied by? See how I did the 1x times the positive 2?
Yeah.
The 1x and the positive 2 has to go in opposite brackets.
Okay.
Just due to FOIL, because we have to eventually multiply them. Okay? And which means the 3x and the negative 3 have to go in opposite brackets. Okay? So that's our factored form of number 1. Okay? We're going to replace this number 1 with this factored here. Okay? We'll call this number 2. Now, is this a trinomial? Do you know what a trinomial is?
Yeah.
Trinomial means how many terms? Tri. 3. The first one was a trinomial. Is this a trinomial? How many terms are there?
Oh, no, it can't be. There's the binomial.
It's binomial. There's only really two ways to factor a quadratic that's binomial. One is the greatest common,
Factor.
yep, and the other one is a special case called the difference of squares.
Yeah, but that's
Not a difference of squares, so what do we do?
Here's common factor.
Okay,
Take
so
out common factor.
take out common factor. In fact, we're going to do this simply.
3x.
Yep, we take 3x out, and what are we left with?
X. What, 2x? Oh, no. Plus 1.
Right, and that's it. So we're going to replace number 2 with that. Okay, so I'm just going to try to highlight these to keep these all together. So these guys are going to replace the top. Know that. And this guy here is going to replace our bottom. Now let's keep going with our factoring. Okay, we'll call this guy number 3. Is this a trinomial or binomial?
Binomial.
So
Difference, no, it's not.
not a difference of squares. So what can I do to factor it?
There's common factor.
Is there a greatest common factor?
There's a 3.
Yeah. So we're going to take 3 out. So we get 3. What?
3x minus 2.
Done. Okay. So we got that. We know that this guy is going to replace this guy here. Okay. And just to draw your attention, this wasn't actually a quadratic. What was it?
Linear.
Linear. Good. Let's do number 4. Okay. Binomial, trinomial. X squared minus 5x minus 2. Binomial or trinomial? Try. So, what's the first thing we look for in factoring?
Common factor.
Any common factor?
No.
Alright, so let's factor. We find the what of the first term?
The multiples.
Okay, factors.
Factors.
So what are the factors of 2x squared?
1 and 2. 1x squared.
What about, then what?
The factors of -3.
Yeah, which are?
Do you have to put the negative?
We'll do that last. That's why we added the negative last in the first one.
Okay.
Okay, so just
3 and 1.
3 and 1. And they need to, the products need to what?
Add together to get -5.
Good. Well, it's obvious we're going to be multiplying these ones, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to bracket them one more time, and then the next time we do this, we won't put the columns. So, what order am I going to have to multiply this in? Okay, because I'm going to bring your attention. 2 ways are going to work. Watch this. 1 times 2 and 2 times 3 gives me 2x and 3x. 2x and 3x, can I get -5?
Yeah.
If what?
Both are negative.
Okay, what's -1 times -3?
3. So they don't.
Doesn't work. Okay? Even though that looked like it was going to work, it doesn't.
Yep.
So, let's try it the other way. Let's go across. 2 times 3 and 1 times 1, that gives me 1x and 6x. Can I get that to work?
Yeah.
If what?
6 is negative.
Okay. And what did I multiply to get that 6?
2. So 3 is negative.
Does that work? Okay. So when we go to put this in our factored form, remember this is the important part.
Has to be an opposite.
Yeah. So we put the first column in, nice and easy.
2x. 1x. So 2x. The left one.
Yep.
And x minus 2.
Great. And there's our factored form for that one. Purple. So this is number 4. Right? So we jump back up. We're going to be replacing this guy with that. Alright? Just 2 more to go. Number 5. A lot of factoring in this question, eh? Did we do blue yet? Yeah. We haven't done the purple though. Number 5. 9x squared minus 4. Trinomial or binomial?
9x squared minus 4 binomial. Difference of squares.
Difference of squares. So what is this going to become?
3x plus 2.
Yep.
And 3x minus 2.
Good. You know the special case. Great. Very fast and easy. We got that one done. Oops. Highlighter. Let's get another color. Let's try orange this time. Okay. So he's going to replace this guy here. I don't know why that happens. And finally, the last one. Yellow. You see that?
Yeah.
Barely, eh? I don't like that. Orange. That works. 4x squared plus 4x plus 1. 6. 4x squared plus 4x plus 1. Factor for me. What are my options?
Common factor, but there's no common factor.
Okay. And then what?
And then do the first question.
Okay, but what am I? How do I set it up?
You do factors of 4,
Okay.
which are 4 and 1, and 2 and 3,
Good.
and factors of 1, which are 1
And you gotta do what?
and 1. Add to get 4.
Okay, so what are we gonna use?
Wait, what? What do you mean?
Which columns are we gonna use?
Let's use second column.
Okay. And what's the second column gonna give us?
So it doesn't matter. Because you're the same.
Good. So it's gonna work? So what's my factored form?
2x plus 1, 2x plus 1. So it's 2x plus 1 squared.
Good. Excellent. We should have written this. Now, this has kind of gotten out of hand. There's so much factoring on this page.
I know.
Red. We'll do this one. So. Oh, that didn't work at all.
Do blue. Do dark. I think
Dark blue? Okay. I guess it worked. Okay. Very colorful page. Let's look at what we've actually done. Whole lot of stuff. What I'm going to try to do is I'm going to bring up a double page here. I'm going to add a page. Okay. And what I want to do is I want to rewrite this on the other page now. Okay. So, see what we got. We're replacing the yellow guy over here. We'll do it all in black now. So yellow guy we're replacing with 1x minus 3 and 3x plus 2. It's going to go a little slower when I'm in this form. Divided by what's going to be underneath? Our green one.
3x bracket 2x plus 1.
Good. Multiplied by
3 bracket 3x minus 2.
okay.
Over bracket 2x plus 1.
Bracket. Oh yeah. It's 1. Yeah.
Bracket x minus 2.
Okay. And all divided by.
3, that's 2.
I think you said 2. 3. Okay.
Divided by 3x plus 2. Oh, that's bracketed.
3x plus 2.
And then another bracket. 3x minus 2.
Mm-hmm. Divided by.
I can't see it.
Oh.
2x plus 1 squared.
Finally. Okay. So a lot of work just to get to here. Okay. But we can state restrictions from here. What are my restrictions going to be? Essentially, right? None of these, I'm going to separate these, can be equal to 0. None of these brackets. So I'm going to quickly solve each of them when they're equal to 0. When 3x equals 0, x cannot be 0. And this one here, 2x plus 1 equals 0. Well, 2x equals negative 1. X cannot equal negative a half. And that's the same as this one here. Okay, x cannot be 3. This is still the same as this one here. The only other one we still have to do is the guy on top of the division question because it's going to flip. So 3x plus 2 equals 0. So x cannot equal negative 2 over 3. And the other one's just minus 2, so it's going to be the opposite, positive 2 over 3. Are you okay with that?
Wait. What?
3x minus 2 cannot be 0. So when you move it over, 3x cannot be 2.
Oh, yeah, okay.
X cannot be 2 over 3. So, restrictions, highlight them. 0, negative a half, 3, negative 3 over 2, and positive 3 over 2. Those are all of our restrictions.
Yes.
Tons of them. Now let's actually simplify this question. Okay, I'm going to work on the division part here. And then I'm going to go a whole bunch of simplifying. When we multiply fractions, we just multiply top by the top and bottom by the top. So I'm just going to make this one big line and push these all together. On this one here, though, I'm going to flip it and then push it together. Okay? So our next line is going to read one large fraction is equal to. And on top we'll have x minus 3 times 3x plus 2 times 3 times 3x minus 2 times, and this is going to be 2x plus 1 squared. I flipped that, okay?
Yep.
On the bottom we have 3x times 2x plus 1 times 2x plus 1, x minus 3, 3x plus 2, 3x minus 2. Okay. Let's start simplifying. In other words, let's start eliminating things. Now this 2x plus 1 squared is the same as 2x plus 1, 2x plus 1.
Yep.
When they multiply together. So I drop both of those and it drops this.
Yeah.
Okay. 3x minus 2, we've got him on top on the bottom.
Yeah.
Is that supposed to be 3x plus 2? Probably. Let's just double check. Yeah, 3x plus 2. So again, 3x plus 2, 3x plus 2.
So.
And x minus 3, x minus 3. So what do we got? Well, we have on top 3 divided by
3x.
Can I still simplify?
Yes.
What do I get? 1 over.
Oh, 1 over.
That's it. That's our answer. After 2 pages of work, 1 over x.
Oh my god.
1 over x with all those restrictions to this question.
That's so freaking.
Took me 17